There are multiple different ways in MLflow by which you can perform the prediction. Let's have a quick look into a couple of methods. One simple way to the prediction is to just load the modulus in pyfunc and pass in your input as a data frame. You can pull it all your input that you're going to send and create the data frame and then use the predict method to perform the inference. And this predict method takes different types of arguments. You can even send the input as list of dictionaries, typically the one that we are going to do, or we can even prepare the data in with list of strings and just pass it to the model. Let's quickly prepare the data for the inference. As the first step, let's go ahead and load the dataset. We're using the card with the dataset from HuggingFace. I've already downloaded this dataset, so it is going to load it from cache. I was able to load it within 7 seconds. But if we're doing this for the first time, this tech might take a little bit of time because it has 1,000 images. Show contains an image and the ground truth key. The image key contains the actual invoice in the DND format, and the ground truth key contains the normal information, right? Let's go ahead and look into the image. So here you can see here is the image, and even if you want, we can print the ground truth. So here move the so the ground truth has a lot of keys along with the monoverse coordinates. We won't need all of them. We just need only the ground truth. So what you can do is like we can always use this text to basically ignore this in JSON format and extract only the necessary keys that we want. These are the examples for a few short in case you want you are changing the content and in the few 20 examples, so you need to substitute these examples in your prompt. So for that, let's just load it out. In the data preparation, we could remember we had this prompt, right, where we have to substitute his schema at the runtime. To do that, we have this schema information saved in schema.json, which is there in the same directory. So this is the schema that we created based out of the keys information which was there as we hit up repository, right? Quickly load this particular JSON as a dictionary. Now we have the schema information ready, right? Now this is a step where we select the number of samples, right? So as we are going to use the opening point, we are just going to use the test samples, which is like 100 samples. If you really want to run a quick test on this particular notebook much with 100 samples, you can only release the number that you want. So let's try it out with 10, right? The next step, we have this method generate URLs, which is going to iterate through each of the image and then convert this pair image into base64 URL and append this particular information in the list, and then the end of this particular list from the dataset, we have the set of URLs and set of ground truth information. To prepare the data for inference, MLflow expects of course, it does support different formats, but one of the formats that we are going to use today is this one where we have the inputs and the expectations. So inputs contain the keys that we are going to pass at the runtime. Basically, we are going to pass two component information. One is the URL, the image imported in base64 format, and other one is the schema, which we know you would please get, right? No, the dictionary. So these are the two variables that we are going to pass in at the runtime, and it's going to be a look for every single URL that we will pass. And the expectations is the key, which it's an option key. If you have the ground truth, you can add this. In this case, we have the ground truth, so we are adding this expected response, right? So run this. Now that we have this list of dictionaries prepared, in each dictionary we can get 3 key informations. One is the image or the invoice imported in base64 format. Second, init in the schema that specifies the keys that needs to be extracted. And third one is the notebook information which you will be used for the evaluation. But for the prediction, we are just going to use only basis to 4. We are just going to use the two inputs, the image and base 5 and a schema. I can do that. We are going to write a custom predict function. The predict function can take any number of arguments. In our case, we are in the first 2 arguments. We actually know the image and also the schema. So the first step is to load the prompt. Okay, with the prompt, we are going to use the mlflow.genai.evaluate library, and we are going to pass in the marking of the prompt question, which we define in the configuration state, right? And once we are trying to node this prompt, which we specify here, right? And if you remember, we have this schema placeholder which we have to substitute during the runtime, which is the next step. where we can note this template and form a Western grid with all the variants that you have. So in our course, we have substituting it with these two Mavic. By end of this step, you have the system configured. The next step is to make the call to OpenAI to do that. We are going to use the OpenAI client and pass the model in after his name enable and the system prompt which the parent will be in the state bank at last the actual basis for the one up this particular invoice. Once we have all this information passed on to OpenAI, we're going to receive the response and then we'll extract the response text and power it back. There are a couple of ways by which you can do the prediction. If you are just focused only on the prediction, you can use the predict method. But in this particular case, we are more focused to perform the prediction in evaluation, and MLflow supports to do this in one particular shot. So you can use the mlflow.genai.evaluate, which does the prediction as we pass in the dataset. So here the data is the list of dictionaries, and also the predict function, the custom predict function that we have written. And here we have the scores, which we talk in begin next step when we speak about the evaluation. So by just binding all these things together, we can do the prediction and evaluation in the same step, and we can track all this information in UI as well. Now that we have the custom predict function and the ML evaluate, we are ready to start it in this string. But before we run his explain, let's also go through the analysis part and try to understand how we can compare the prediction from OpenAI with the ground truth and come up with the meaningful metrics.